Hey guys, it's been a while and it's time for an update. This is the release video for BLCMM, the Borderlands community mod manager, the follow-up of Filter Tool. If you're unfamiliar with Filter Tool, no worries, this video is self-contained. BLCMM is an application to make life easier for those who want to play modded Borderlands 2 or the pre-sequel. It takes care of the hex editing and other game file tweaks that previously had to be done by hand. Furthermore, BLCMM is fully cross-platform, which means that no matter which of the two games you play on which platform, BLCMM can make it ready for mods. This video consists of three main parts with timestamps linked below. First, we go over the installation of BLCMM and making your game ready for mods. Secondly, we will see what it can provide in terms of mod management, and lastly, we'll go over how you can make mods using BLCMM. Alright, enough with the introduction, let's get started. BLCMM will be distributed as a single .exe file for Windows or a single .jar file for Mac and Linux. It can be placed anywhere you like, unlike Filter Tool, which usually lives inside the binaries folder of one of your games. To start it, you simply execute the file and it will automatically download the latest version of BLCMM and the other required files, and it will launch automatically in 10 seconds or when you press this button. It will show you a welcome message, but if you make it to the end of this video, it doesn't say anything helpful. It will then greet you with a screen that tells you the status of your current games, which is to say if they're hex edited or not, or if you have console keys installed. At the moment I have none, so I can simply select which key I want to use to open my console and simply press apply to hex edit my games. Then I press OK and I'm greeted by the main window of BLCMM. If you want to further tweak your game files, you can go to Tools and Set up Game Files for Mods. It will show the same window as before, except it will show you much more options this time. To see what each option does, you can simply mouse over each of the options and it will show you what it does exactly. The options below mostly boil down to increasing performance, so if you're having performance issue, I would recommend enabling a few of those. The install auto-exec is only available for Windows and it currently has some issues, so use at your own risk. You are warned by the tooltip. And if you are running Mac or Linux, the way we hex edit the game has changed since when BL2 modding first started. Previously it was done by replacing the engine.upk file. We have found a new way which also just hex edits the executable, which is the preferred way of doing things. If you already have the engine.upk change enabled, BLCMM will show options to revert that change, so you can hex edit the executable instead. If for some reason you can't manage to hex edit your game using BLCMM, you can go to Tools, Settings, and then Auto Update Settings. And then you go to Multi-Tool, which will show you the hex multi-tool by Koby code. You simply check that checkbox, it will prompt you to restart, and it will download a recent version of his tool. You simply launch BLCMM again, go to Tools, and then an option Open Multi-Tool has appeared in the Tools menu. This will show you his tool and his take on the hex editing, which might be more successful than BLCMM hex editing. Next, we'll go over the mod management part of BLCMM. As you can see, it automatically opens a patch file that I already had present in my binaries folder. It will also detect a patch file for TPS. And the main thing for BLCMM is still, of course, being able to check and uncheck things that you do or do not want altering your game. So say you do not want skill changes or loot pool changes, you can simply uncheck those, save your file, execute it in game, and you will have the full UCP except for those things. One important part to note is that there's support for mutually exclusive things, which is to say parts where you have to pick either one of a few options. Like here, it shows circular buttons. You can pick either one of those, but not both. These are found by following the purple trail. Just like Filter Tool, BLCMM will automatically take care of merging the hotfixes of all the hotfixes in the file, so there's no need to do that manually. If you are working with multiple files, for instance one for Borderlands 2 and one for TPS, it will show your recent files in the file menu, and you can simply change back and forth. Like now I have my TPS patch open and I can just switch back to my Borderlands 2 patch. If you want more than just the UCP, you'll have to download mods from the BLCM GitHub, which I will provide a link down below. Once you go to that page, you'll be greeted by this screen. To find a mod that you're interested in, you go to the folder of the game that you like, after which you're greeted by a list of mod authors. If you then press that folder, you will see the mods made by that person. And to download a mod, you click the txt file and then you click the raw button. Then simply press Ctrl S on your keyboard and you will be able to download the file. Next, you can go back to BLCMM, File, Import Single Mod, where you can switch back and forth between the binaries folder of your games without browsing manually or going to the installation directory of BLCMM, which is the directory where you place the launcher. And you can simply import the mod, and it will be displayed in a cyan colored mods folder. If you also want to move things around besides checking and unchecking things, you go to the Tools menu, Settings, and you enable the structural edits. This allows you the basic editing functionality of BLCMM, so now you can place your NoZerker mod here, for instance, in the middle of the UCP, and basically move things around however you like. If, for instance, you are using a lot of mods, but you don't want to use all of them at all times, you can make a profile for your current use. A profile is basically a way to save multiple configuration of the same file in a single file. So say I create a new profile, my profile, and I deselect my mods folder, and I really only want to do the features, the cosmetic changes, and the fixes, the least impactful parts of the UCP, and I also want to make my game a bit harder by including some nerfs. I can select that in this profile while my original profile is unaltered, and the profile you have selected last when you save your file is the one that is executed in game. If you need more help on BLCMM or other mod related things, there is a wiki on the GitHub, which will be updated shortly after this video, which will help you with various other things. Lastly, we'll go to the mod making part of BLCMM. For this, first off, you'll want to go to Settings and enable Content Edits. This will allow you to delete things and edit the actual code. You will be asked to confirm that you know what you're doing, since if you mess something up, your mods won't work. The most notable change BLCMM has to offer, as opposed to like editing with Notepad, is it automatically formats the code, which makes it much easier to read. Filter Tool also did this, so if you're familiar with Filter Tool, there's no change there. One big change in BLCMM is it now has error detection, so if we open the TPS patch, I'm intentionally using an outdated version of the patch here. it will show things in red, which means that, for instance, this category contains errors, and then you can just follow the red trail and see where the errors are. So this command, for instance, has a faulty set of brackets, which is usually easily fixed. Furthermore, if we switch back to the UCP and we import another mod, say the noseworker again, well, let's move the noseworker here and then we import it again. It will warn you that this code is later overwritten by a different statement in the same file, which, you know, it makes sense because I'm using the same file twice. This will easily allow you to detect conflicts in the mods that you're installing. Basically, if all the colors that you see is yellow for comments and purple for mutually exclusive choices, then that means your file is probably okay. If you're seeing other colors, that means that something is either overwriting or there's an error in there somewhere. Next is the Object Explorer. This was also present in Filter Tool, but it has been expanded quite a bit for BLCMM. First off, initially it doesn't have any data to work with, so it will tell you to go to the settings menu to download some data. So let's do what it says. We go to the auto update settings, we go to data, and here there's several data packages you can download for BLCMM. We have split them up, so if you are, for instance, not interested in mission data, then there's no need to download it, and so it will not make your search times worse. The more data you install, the more data you have, but it also means that when you're searching for things, it will take a bit longer since there's more stuff to search through. It will reopen the launcher, which will then download the data package. And it will now show you a browser on the left side. So say that we're interested in, for instance, item pool definitions. We can simply browse them. Let's see. And it's just a different way of viewing the objects that you like, that you're interested in, that you want to modify or whatever. Unlike the publicly released version of Filter Tool, the Object Explorer of BLCMM has multiple tabs, so you can look at multiple objects at the same time. You can dump objects, you can find references to the currently selected object, which, you know, if you have few data packages installed, it's not going to be a lot. You can search for things like, say, the Heartbreaker. You simply press enter, it will try to dump it, and if it can't, it will search for it and it will find everything that has Heartbreaker in it. You can also do a get all, which was unavailable in Filter Tool, which will get you all the objects of a given class. And, you know, basically everything that you need to get your hands on the objects that you want to modify. Next we'll go over plugins. BLCMM has a plugin feature which allows plugin developers to generate mods automatically through accessing the data available in the Object Explorer. A little while after release we will make making your own plugins available to the public, but for now that needs a little bit more review to make sure that it's easy enough to understand. For instance, I can add an external plugin. It will warn me that plugins don't necessarily are safe to execute, since not all of the plugins will be reviewed by the BLCMM development team. For instance, I can pick my own Varkit overhaul plugin. It will appear grayed out at first because I don't have the proper data packages installed, which I can easily fix in the auto update settings. Data, Borderlands 2, I need the AI object data and the population object data for this plugin. I select them, I go through the restart screen, it will download the 2 data packets I need, and now the plugin will be enabled. I can tweak the settings here. I've released a public version of the Varkit overhaul with the default settings, and each one of these things affects the generated file. I press generate and it will open, it will create a file in the plugin output directory. Plugins might take a while to execute, but that's normal since they need to go through a lot of data to achieve their goal. Now when I do open or import single mod, it will show an option to open my plugin directory, which will show me the Varkit overhaul generator, and I can simply import the mod, and apparently it has an error in it. Which is irrelevant for now. Further notes on BLCMM are that it automatically merges level merging statements. Mods like the enemy randomizer merge maps inside Borderlands 2 to enable you to use content from other maps inside a different map. If multiple mods that you use the same or use different level merges, they could conflict and break one another. BLCMM takes care of that. Furthermore, you might have noticed that in UCP 4.1 there's no more section gearbox hotfixes that you need to keep enabled. That's because BLCMM will automatically put gearbox hotfixes inside the functional bit of the output file. If you still have gearbox hotfixes in your file, that's not a problem. BLCMM will remove either the ones in your file or the ones that it adds itself if it detects that it's adding duplicates. And then to close off, anything that was made with filter tool will be openable by BLCMM. The same is not true the other way around. The save format has changed considerably. So if I save my patch file and I then open filter tool, right, filter tool, wrong jar file. No, I don't want any of that. And then I open a file. Then I have to go through my Steam library, Steam apps, common, Borderlands 2, binaries, and I open my patch.txt. It will warn me that this was a file that was generated in BLCMM, but the content of this file is rubbish, like it won't work. It will show the raw format of the BLCMM save format, and yeah, if you save this, it will produce garbage. And well, that's basically it. That's the basic introduction to BLCMM. If there's any issues with it, then please let me know and I'll get to them as soon as I can. Thank you for watching and have fun with BLCMM.